Hey, hope everybody is doing well. We've got our first full week of class. I know we had like a little less than half a week last time. So hopefully in that short week, you've got an idea of how everything is kind of laid out in Blackboard. Just a reminder, depending on when you're watching this, we have to verify attendance really early on this semester. So I need you, if you haven't done this already, do an assignment. I know they set up where on Blackboard when you log in, the first thing you're going to see is the little one question quiz about what you expect to get out of this class. The reason they're doing that is if you will do that before you do anything else, I can verify that you've attended. And you won't get dropped from the class. That's kind of an issue that we've had this semester is you have to do something early on or you get dropped from your classes. And that's not me. I'm not kicking you out of the class. That's something that the college does. So just make sure you've done that. All right. Now this week, I know we just started, but your first exam is coming up pretty soon. It's actually next Monday and Tuesday. So the March 15th and 16th, that's your first exam. So in order to get us kind of prepared for that, we use something called Respondus Lockdown Browser in this class to take all of our exams. Even if you've taken that before, make sure that you pay attention to this practice exam assignment, all right? I've heard from several students who are just like being honest. They'll get caught cheated on an exam and they get a 0, and they'll just tell me blatantly. They'll say, listen, I've used Respondus before and I didn't think anyone watched the videos. I didn't think it was something you actually checked. So the reason we're doing this practice exam, 2 big reasons. Number one, this is technology. Technology can have issues. It can have hiccups. So I want to make sure before the real test that you've got a chance to use Respondus and make sure that you know how to use it and that everything is installed and downloaded properly so that when the real test comes along, we won't have to worry about all that mess. All right. Practice exam, if you'll go over to the exams tab, there's a folder that's going to say practice exam. If you click on that, there are some instructions that you need to read. It's got a link for you to download Respondus Lockdown Browser if you haven't done that already. Even if you did, like if you took Biology 103 as a mini 1, like this semester with me, you might want to reinstall it or check for updates because I think I heard that they did an update, and if you don't update Respondus, you might have some issues with the test. All right, so do all that. Now, the big thing, though, is that I've recorded a video that's going to show you what you need to do leading up to a test on Respondus. All right, so if you've used it before, there's a startup sequence where you've got to show your student ID. You've got to show the desk or table surface around you, and it's good. That video is going to show you how to do all of that to make sure that you get credit for your test. All right, you have to do those things to get credit for your test. So I know it's kind of a pain. It's a pain for me too. I promise. I wish we could just meet up and take the test in person. But we really need to make sure that you understand all the instructions for Respondus. All right, so watch that video, download Respondus, and then when you take the practice exam, you don't have to study for it at all. It's going to be questions like what year is it and what's the name of this class. Like there's things that you're going to know. Honestly, I'm not even going to check if you got them right or wrong. I just want to make sure that you can follow those instructions. Okay. So take that. It's going to be due Wednesday, March the 10th, just so I can have time to review it before the real test. But 2 things remember to keep in mind. Number 1, make sure you can use Respondus, that you've got everything downloaded. Number 2, you've got to follow the instructions for the startup sequence before the test starts. Read through all of the instructions, there's some additional instructions before the real test starts. Make sure that you follow all of those instructions to make sure that you get credit. Okay. All right, so we've got a lecture this week is on flatworms, roundworms, rotifers, and annelids. Those are mostly different types of worms that we're going to be looking at. And then there's a different group called rotifers in there. So that's your lecture this week. There is a review quiz, which is due Sunday, March 14th. So make sure that you do that. And then other than that, a couple more assignments. First off, anything that I assigned you last week, if you didn't do it last week, make sure you go ahead and get it out of the way this time. All right. So Sunday, all of these assignments are due. The About Me survey, the syllabus quiz, the diversity project, and then you had a review quiz last week on sponges and cnidarians. Those are all due on Sunday. All right. Hopefully you got those out of the way last week, but if you didn't, you've got until Sunday to do that. Okay. All right. Now, finally, our first lab assignment is due on Sunday, the 14th also. Okay. So this one is on invertebrates. We're going to be looking at animals that don't have a backbone, that don't have a vertebrae. Okay. That's kind of what we've done in lecture so far. You're going to do your first dissection for this class too, as an earthworm. Now, the earthworm is pretty simple dissection. In your lab kit, you'll have like a good, decent size earthworm. But the dissection is just, you just kind of split it down the belly. When you peel open the sides, though, there are several different organs that you can identify in an earthworm. I know a lot of times we just think of a worm as being like this simple, slimy thing, but it does have certain structures and organs that we're going to be able to identify. So just a heads up, this lab, it says that there's an estimated 3.5 hours to complete the lab. I know that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But number one, it doesn't take that long for everybody. Since this is your first lab in here, though, I would give myself even more time, like maybe 5 hours or so, set aside a bunch of time to do this lab, all right? Just because it's something new. Sometimes when later on in the semester, you'll get a rhythm, you'll get a hang for how these labs go, and it shouldn't take you that long. But since this is the first one, give yourself extra time just in case you need it, all right? If you will look, it's got a list of other things that you need to supply. So it says the textbook. If you've got one, it's good just so you can look up some answers. If not, you can do an internet search to find these answers as well. Side note, when I said internet search, I know anyway, make sure your answers are your own. I'll just leave it at that. Don't copy answers from online, because it's really obvious when you do that, and you don't get credit if you copied your answers from somewhere else, okay? All right, you need a camera because when you do your dissection, you're going to take a picture, and then you'll upload the picture of your dissection to SI Cloud, the website, the lab website, and that'll let you label all the structures on that website. Okay, the rest of this you should have a sheet of paper, something to write with, soap just to kind of clean up afterwards, tap water. It says distilled water. That's good for cleaning in the labs in here. If you go to the grocery store, you can get a gallon of distilled water for like less than $1, and that's going to last you the whole semester because we'll use that a good bit in here. All right. Paper towels. It says bleach, again, just for cleaning up after you're done. And then it says a cookie sheet or plastic tray, something like that. That's because when you do your dissection, it's good to have a hard surface underneath when you're doing the dissection. All right. So that's it. Again, just remember that your first lab is next week. Sorry, your first exam is next week, Monday and Tuesday. So make sure you are preparing for that. There's a study guide. If you go to Learning Materials and then go to the Unit 1 folder, at the bottom of that, you'll find a study guide. So feel free to use that to get ready for the test. And really, as you're going through and you're studying, if there's something that doesn't make sense to you, send me a message on Blackboard, and I'll be glad to get back and see if I can explain it a little bit better to you. All right? Just kind of get ready and let me know if you need anything. Thanks.